The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Vision Earnestly Speaking podcast. I'm your host, Earnest EJ Christian, coming to you on a actually chilly Wednesday afternoon here in South Florida. Of course, this podcast you'll find on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio, Google Play, Spotify, and we are now on iHeartRadio. Check it out, guys. Of course, on the line, we haven't talked NBA basketball for quite a while on this podcast. We gotta do it today. We're around the halfway point of the season. Of course, we check in with our guy, Matthew Damian, the host, podcaster, and author, who's currently finishing up another book too, as well. Host of the Ice Lovers Game podcast, one of my favorite basketball podcasts to listen to. Matt, happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you, man. Out of curiosity, what's chili to you?
Well, okay, again, I'm a New Yorker, so it's chilly for Floridians. Right now we're in the 50s. Okay, that's not that cold, in my opinion. It's cold for Florida, but not for me.
You're soft, man.
I like
you've got soft.
like
50 is, I would give an arm and a leg for 50 right now. And I came from Australia, so I went from really, really hot weather to really freezing cold weather. It's brutal.
Do you like the cold weather?
No, absolutely not. That's shit. It's horrible.
You must really love your wife then.
Yes.
To do this.
Yes, I do.
Not only go across the world, but to also, in addition, change the climate.
For the worse.
Yes, for the worse.
Oh man, and you know what makes it even worse?
What's that?
All my mates back home, they're sending me pictures of barbecues on the beach and surfing, and I look outside and it's just like, a foot of snow. I'm like, oh.
Well, I mean, we do have warm weather in California, Florida.
Is
Texas.
California part of the U.S. still?
Oh Lord, here we go. And you know this conversation could go somewhere else right now. Saying that, although I will agree, there is some of that. I will admit California kind of has its own little thing going on that even myself who's a bit more in the middle. Like, I'll see things like what are you guys talking about?
It's hard to fathom.
I agree. Okay, so we are around the halfway point of the year. Of the NBA season. I have to admit, this is probably the first time in my entire life that while I know what's going on in the league, and I still follow the league tooth and nail, I don't feel as plugged in this season as I have in the past. And that's actually a shame because it's really been a very intriguing season. It has not gone chalk. You've seen the top teams struggle. Golden State struggled. Houston has struggled. The LeBron LA thing. I mean, LeBron's on the sidelines for a couple of weeks now. LA's struggling now about LeBron. So a lot of other teams that typically doesn't get a lot of shine, a lot of pub, is getting that now. So in a lot of ways, we're starting to see, at least through this first 3 months of the year, a lot more parity being played out in the NBA. And it's a shame that I don't feel as plugged in with it right now.
I would agree with that. Look, there's other reasons too. The NFL has been incredible.
Oh my God, I am so looking forward to Sunday. You have no idea.
I've been looking forward to every week. I feel like this since maybe week 2 of the NFL season. I'm like, this is like what it was a few years ago when I couldn't miss a game.
Yeah, and the best part too is the fact that for the first time in quite a while in the NFL, I'm actually getting a little depressed that it's almost over.
Yes, I don't want it to end either.
Yeah.
As much as I'm looking forward to these two matchups, I'm like, damn it, there's only 2 games this week.
Yeah. And no more Saturday games either. I enjoy the Saturday football too. I love college football too as well. So when college ended like pretty much a couple weeks ago, I was like, oh God,
Well, I mean, look, we have the tournament to look forward to as well. But I would agree with you. There's been some surprises in the NBA. What I found to keep myself interested is to stay away from all sports journalism, because sports journalism kills the NBA and makes it look like such an inferior product. I had a guest on the show that I just recorded yesterday, and we're talking about the differences between the way that the NFL is produced on ESPN as opposed to the NBA. Now, you talk about NFL Live, you have ex-players, ex-coaches talking about the strategies of football. They're talking about zone blocking schemes. They're talking about second-level pressure. All this, really, the intricacies of the game are broken down. Now, compare that to The Jump, where they talk about Twitter posts or who's wearing whose shoes. Or like the NBA is complicated too. The NBA is a very smart sport. Think of all the great players. Every single great player. The one thing they have in common, all the great players, it's not always athleticism, because you look at guys like Larry Bird, you look at guys like Steph Curry. Mm-hmm. It's not always skills. Look at Shaq. But the one thing in common with everyone is their intelligence. You need intelligence, basketball intelligence, to be successful in the NBA, which indicates it's actually a very smart league and it's a smart sport. It's just not marketed that way. And that's what frustrates me.
I feel like a lot of the problem. I mean, I'll go ahead and say it. I mean, the word, the elephant in the room. A lot of it is political. A lot of it is also. I don't think journalists today. I think journalists today and people in the media want to be their players' friends and value that over being journalists. I don't see enough hard hitting. Look, I think Peter Vesey was an asshole years ago. But Peter Vesey told like it is. Whether you agree or disagree with the way he approached questions to players, whatever, he's still told like it is. Look, there's a happy medium, and the NBA is a very happy league, and I'm glad I'm happy it's that way. But I need a balance. I need some journalists to hold players accountable, and I don't think we see enough of that around at least the most of the NBA writers that They're more interested in being close to the team, close to the players, than actually writing, really truthful journalism. And I agree with you there.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, they don't have to be assholes. I mean, you're right. That's the point you bring up about Peter Vesey. Very, very smart dude. And if everyone thinks he's an asshole, he really isn't. He's just, I think he's just brutally honest.
Yeah.
Sometimes he can overstep it. I mean, I remember seeing a clip on YouTube where he, nearly got punched in the face by Karl Malone after the 97 finals. Mm-hmm. But the question he asked was fair. The question that he actually asked Malone was fair. He said, hey, you really didn't live up to your own standards of the MVP standards that you set for the season. Had you played, do you feel that if you had played up to those levels, you could have beaten this team? And quite honestly, look, when you say the NBA is like a fan or a player-friendly league or whatever, that's not always the case. It is for a select group. But think of guys like Kevin Durant and how they're treated.
Yeah. I mean, and Durant lashes back, which I criticize a lot, too, for doing that, because I think he's soft in that way. But at the same time, if you want to be authentic honest, and if that's him being authentic honest, then so be it.
Right.
So
no, I'm with you on that, man.
So here's what we're going to do. To make this fair for every team in the league, we're going to go in order, alphabetical order, go through each team in the league, A through W, which is Atlanta through Washington. And we're gonna see just kind of give like a little review so far on each team, a little thoughts on each team, and we'll go from there. All right?
Sounds good.
All right, let's go. Atlanta first. Atlanta Hawks. Their record right now. Sorry, I need to get the standings up real quick. Currently, the record is. Give me a second. I know they're last in the Eastern Conference, or second to last in the Eastern Conference. There it is.
They got about 15 wins, don't they?
Yeah, they got about 15. No, less than that. No, wait. No. 14. They've actually played a little better in recent weeks. And they own the Miami Heat to the record. They're 0-3 against the Hawks this year. I don't get it. Anyway, that being said, the Hawks 14-30. Again, rebuilding year. There's nothing you can really expect from this team, really, other than that.
Well, whenever I've watched them, it's been for one reason. That's Vince Carter. I'm always interested to see what he can still do, and he defies time in ways that I've never seen a basketball player do in terms of his athleticism. And I was thinking about him a while back, because you would have remembered this. In the early 2000s, they were touting both him and Kobe as being the next Jordan.
Correct.
And I've never seen Vince Carter more comfortable now, even when he was the ass-kicking player that he was in 2000, 2001. He didn't seem comfortable in being touted as the next Jordan. Kobe definitely wanted that. But Vince Carter didn't seem comfortable, or didn't seem like he was interested in that kind of pressure. He seems so much more comfortable, so much more relaxed and happy now. Mm-hmm. And it's not just this season, as with Sacramento and Memphis and teams like that. It seems like he's a lot more happy in his shoes now.
Yeah. Well, I think I think a lot of it too is also he's like he there's nothing to prove anymore. He's just right.
Yeah.
And let's be real. He's collecting a check. He's healthy enough to play basketball. Why not play until your wheels fall off? I'm with you there, 100%. I would be doing the same thing also. If I'm 45 years old and I can still play basketball and the team's going to sign me for $2 million a year, absolutely going to do that. I'm actually going to take that opportunity, no doubt about that. But again, Atlanta, Trae Young, all that. Look, they're rebuilding. It's look, I think they're a little better than I thought they'd be this year. They've actually got some big wins over Philly last week. So, I mean,
they beat Oklahoma last night.
That's right. Oh, there you go. So they've been playing a little better. They're actually one of those really bad teams that are really frisky that you can't sleep on. So we'll leave it at that. Okay, next team on the list here. I think both of our NBA Finals predictions. Champion prediction was the Boston Celtics. Right now, they are 25-18. They are number 5 in the East currently. I mean, obviously, this has got to be a letdown compared to what we thought would happen this year in Boston so far.
Oh, without question. One of the surprises, the biggest disappointment in the entire league from a team standpoint has been Boston. It's still, thank God it's the Eastern Conference. If they were playing like this in the West, you can't just transfer the record and say, they'd be 25-18 because they'd be playing Western Conference teams more. So they'd be struggling to make the playoffs right now. Right. I think they still need to make a move. They've got far too many players that do the same thing on the perimeter, and they don't have balance inside. They need a good shot blocker, someone who can at least even someone like a JaVale McGee, or who would have thought we'd use him as a point of reference. Yeah. In the last couple of years, but someone that can just instill some fear because they've got so many good defenders on the perimeter, but outside of Al Horford, who's someone that will actually protect the rim. I think that's what they need.
Well, let me ask you this, though. You say you got to obviously when you say you got to make a move, you got to move somebody off your team to make that happen. Yeah. So who's the player that you got to wiggle free on the roster? Because they do have a stacked roster by virtue of names. You got the Kyrie Irvings, the Gordon Haywards of the world. All that. Tatum, obviously, Jaylen Brown. Who's the guy in your opinion that they have to consider moving?
I would package up Hayward and Brown or Hayward and Tatum. I know those two are big names, but tell me the difference between Tatum and Brown. They both do the same thing.
I would say Brown's a better shooter. I mean, maybe, right?
And Tatum might be a better defender. I mean, but it's very close between the two of them. They both essentially do the same thing. If I had a team without Kyrie Irving, I'd build around those two, but I've got Kyrie Irving. So I need to only have one of those pieces, and then you can potentially package up, because no one's going to take Hayward's contract without getting a huge piece.
They're stuck with that one for at least another couple of years.
Unless if they package up a draft pick, because they have a lot of assets in terms of those draft picks still, and then they also include either Brown or Tatum, so they have to give up one if they want to get something of value back. So I think that's their option. That's their best bet. But they've got so much depth. They can muck around with this. Because even if you trade like Hayward and Brown or Tatum, you've still got Morris. You've still got the other one, whether it's Brown or Tatum, and whoever you're getting back. I mean, there's a Marcus Smart too, is on the perimeter. They just need to. I never thought I'd say this with Danny Ainge because he's been ruthless when it comes to making difficult trades to make the team better. But for whatever reason, he's sitting on his hands a bit here.
You see it like at OKC. You move Melo, they play better out him. Like sometimes the move to make is removing a big name to free up the basketball. And you see it in OKC and it's working success there. And that's with Westbrook not playing that great, just for the record. I obviously, and I think you and I discussed on the podcast before we last spoke, that Hayward's the guy that should be moved based on the contract, but that's impossible to happen unless you're, as you just said, you're packaging something up to another team, a draft pick, or so forth, whatnot. Yeah, they have to make a move. I still think that Tatum is the piece you build around. I think Tatum is a borderline generational piece. The guy he'll be the guy moving forward. I think he's more important than Kyrie Irving, in my opinion, too. Honestly.
Yeah, I could see that, especially when you look at Kyrie Irving. He's bought a free agent at the end of this season, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He says he's coming back next. He's staying in long term, but he says a lot of things also.
Sure.
So
how's the world flatness going?
Yeah. Now that being said, Boston, obviously a playoff team. Do you think they'll get all together and they'll crack the top 3 in the East?
I don't know where they'll finish in terms of the standings, but Kyrie Irving reminds me, like now that LeBron's gone, only him and Kawhi Leonard have won championships as pretty much when you look at the top 8, 9 teams in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
And Kyrie Irving is the guy down the stretch of big playoff games that you want with the ball in your hands and will scare the hell out of any team, even Toronto with Kawhi Leonard or Milwaukee with Giannis. How are you going to stop this guy down the stretch?
Yeah.
So I think maybe the Pacers drop off a little bit, maybe the Sixers drop off a little bit. The highest, I don't think they're catching even Milwaukee or Toronto. So the highest I'll give them is number 3 seed.
Okay. All right, Brooklyn next. Probably one of the biggest surprises of the league so far.
Yes.
Not to me, to be honest with you. I thought they did pretty well this year. I actually thought they'd be pretty competitive. I had them going over 32.5 wins, actually. Right now, they are 22-23. If the playoffs start today, they are the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. They had a big win against Boston 2 nights ago. They've been playing very well, very frisky team, a team that's now starting, they had a reset pretty much. They had no draft picks because they hoard older picks to Boston a couple years ago, and they suffered for a couple years for that. But now Brooklyn's starting to get their equity back. I like them. I love watching them play, to be honest with you.
I do too. They remind me of a college team that just doesn't care. They just don't care. They're just going to impose their will on you. And a lot of teams in the NBA, they, because of schedule losses and things of that nature, they will just sort of ride with it. They don't seem to, unless if you're prepared to fight this team mentally, you're going to lose to him. D'Angelo Russell, man, let's give this guy some credit.
Hell yeah. I was just going to get there. And by the way, I said the day they traded him from LA, I thought this move was a good move for him to get out of that LA spotlight and to really, really mature, somewhere else. And he's doing it.
I don't even think he was that immature. I think what happened, like people talk about the Nick Young thing and all that stuff, right? Nick Young was the one boasting about cheating on his girlfriend.
That's true.
It wasn't D'Angelo Russell. If anything, D'Angelo Russell was the fall guy for that idiot. Swaggy P or whatever.
I've blasted Nick on the show many times. So yeah, I'm with you on the Nick Young thing.
But I'm, when you look at what the Lakers have in Lonzo Ball, they essentially traded D'Angelo Russell to free up for nothing, right? To free up space or playing time for Ball. What a screw up that was right now. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Ball could turn into the next Jason Kidd. We don't know. But right now, there is no question in my mind that D'Angelo Russell is by far and away the better player than Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, the two best players are what? Russell and Dinwiddie?
Yeah, and don't forget Allen, the shot blocking big.
Allen Crabbe.
He's
right.
Yep. I like them a lot. And hey, let's not forget about this team come free agency as well. Everyone talks about the Lakers, everyone talks about the Clippers, everyone talks about the Knicks. This team's going to have a lot of cap room, young core, and it's a major market as well. Hey, they could very easily fly under the radar and pick up a superstar.
I agree with you, 100%. Okay, next team here, Charlotte Hornets. Right now, they are 20-23. They are currently the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference at the playoffs start today. I mean, they're going where I think we all thought they'd be, right? Middling, fighting for 8th spot. You got Kemba Walker, who had a great start to the year. Other than that, they're really not that interesting.
I like him just because of Kemba.
Of course.
Look, I've always liked Kemba Walker. But that being said, I think they're in the unfortunate position that a lot of NBA teams do eventually find themselves in, where you're kind of treading water. You're the 7th to 10th seed of the conference. Do you are they a destination for a team? Do they even have the cap space to try and sign somebody? Can you make a trade? I don't think they can. I think at some point you got to rebuild. It hasn't worked. How long has Kemba Walker been in the league? The same amount of time as John Wall has been.
About 6-7 years now.
I look, he's playing phenomenally well, and you put him on a good team, and let's see what happens.
Well, here's what they have to do. Definitely, they got to find a way to move Batum. Batum. They got to move that contract ASAP. I knew sometimes you just have to sign a guy because there's no one. There's so much money and not enough players, and you have to sign a guy. I get that, but I knew that Batum contract was going to be an albatross.
Yes,
can't stay healthy. So there you go. But the Hornets right now, the 8th seed now. They are a playoff team to start today. So I mean, that's. I
also like. Excuse me, sorry. I do like Malik Monk's development as well.
Yes,
and that also allows me to sort of say, hey, maybe you should trade Kemba Walker, get some picks, build around Monk, let's see what he's got, and put the ball in his hands a little bit more.
Well,
and maybe Sorry?
No, go ahead. You were saying?
I was just saying, maybe, obviously he's not going to be as good as Kemba, but who knows what they've actually got with Monk. But, I think Jordan, I don't think he's going to I don't think he's going to make a move here. I think he wants to make the playoffs. I think he's happy with his 6th or 7th seed and getting bounced in the first round.
Getting that playoff money. As that owner Jordan says, the ceiling is the roof. All right, next, speaking of Jordan, his former team, the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls currently right now are the second worst team in the conference. They are 10-34. Not a surprise. They've lost 8 in a row, 9 last 10. I mean, there's no surprise here, of course. Come on. I mean,
this is maybe the most incompetent franchise I have seen in quite some time. Maybe dating back to the Donald Sterling Clippers before you can find one.
Worse than the Knicks?
Yeah, I'd say worse than the Knicks. You look at because the Knicks haven't had anything. This team actually had something. They had Derrick Rose. They ran him into the ground. They had a defensive identity. They got rid of their defensive identity, brought in Fred Hoiberg, who was an offensive coach, didn't change any of the players, and then wondered why they struggled. Then they got rid of Derrick Rose, and they brought in Rajon Rondo for whatever reason, and once again, a defensive player. I mean, my goodness, this is an absolute mess of a franchise. And then they trade their number 5 pick in the draft, and they get Zach LaVine, who's been all right, but hey, look, he's putting up big numbers, but how's the team going?
Markkanen's got back. Markkanen, the guy they're building around Markkanen, he just got back a week ago, right? 2 weeks ago, maybe.
Did he? I know
is he back now? I thought he was back.
I haven't seen a Bulls game in a little while because it's so hard to watch.
I haven't seen a Bulls game in probably a couple of years. I'm not gonna lie to you. They're unwatchable. I mean, they got young talent and everything, but they're not really a watchable team.
I agree with that 100%. I don't know whether this is like the curse of the Bambino, the curse of Jordan, because this team has been absolutely horrible with the exception of that 1 year with Derrick Rose.
Okay, well, Markkanen has, let me see, I'm checking right now his season stats. He has played, but I think he's played maybe 1-2 games, if that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's played half the games.
He's playing. Yeah. He's played what? He has one. Yeah. He's played this year, and that's but not much. He just returned to the team like literally days or weeks ago. So within the last couple of weeks. So okay. They're terrible. We knew they were gonna be terrible, and they're still terrible. Okay. The Cleveland Cavaliers. Minus LeBron James. Right now, they are the worst team in the conference. If I'm not mistaken, they are the worst team in the league. Yes, they are. Worst record in the league. 9-35. Again, no Kevin Love either, too. He should be back for the team soon, though. Other than that, I mean, they're like the Bulls. They're unwatchable. No one really cares. LeBron's gone.
I did watch one game of theirs, just after they brought Dellavedova back. And people are surprised when I say this, because I've never been a fan of Dellavedova. In fact, I made up the nickname Dellavedova.
I remember a couple years ago on the podcast, you made fun of him pretty bad on this show.
Yeah, but once they brought him back, I actually watched the game, because it was on local TV. Mm-hmm. And this guy is ready to be a coach already, to be honest with you. He's a very, very smart player.
Yeah.
But if that doesn't tell you how bad this team is, we're talking about Dellavedova. It would be interesting. Kevin Love played, 3 games? 2 or 3 games? I don't know.
If that.
And who else have they got? They've got some role players there. Larry Nance Jr. I like a lot. Mm-hmm. Clarkson has had his moments. Colin Sexton is a good defensive player. Yeah, good defensive player. He should be okay in the league. But yeah, they're a pretty bad team.
Yeah, they're terrible. And that's the Cavs for you. By the way, Dan Lebertor used to call him Dellavedova League.
I like that.
That was good.
Nice.
That came out during the first finals when he was shutting down Steph Curry for the first couple of games in that series, but whatever. Okay, next this team is really interesting. Dallas Mavericks right now. Right now they are currently 20-23 right now in a very tough Western Conference. They're not a playoff team, obviously, because the West Conference is that good.
They're only a couple of games back, right?
Right now, okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The Lakers are the 8th seed right now, currently, and they're only 3 back. 4 back of the 8th seed.
So we're within striking distance.
Yeah. I have to confess, and I said this on social media a couple days ago. It wasn't until only 2 weeks ago I finally saw a Luka Doncic game. And oh my God, what have I been missing? He's fun. He's a lot of fun.
He's okay. You gotta admit You've got to admit this kind of reminds me of the Linsanity a little bit.
You think so?
A little bit. It does remind me a little bit of
because there was some hype. There was some hype on him coming into the year anyway.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Like, because, you know, obviously EuroLeague MVP and at a young age and things of that nature. He's not a bad player, but do I think he's going to be the next guy to carry the league? Absolutely not. Not at this stage. He hasn't shown me enough yet. Like, he could easily be an all-star. Like, he could be an all-star this season. So I'm not saying he's a terrible player, but the amount of hype that's associated with this guy. Yeah, you've got all the stats up. Tell me if there's a huge difference between his production and Harrison Barnes.
Okay, all right. Let me get you Luka's numbers first real quick, and then we'll go from there. I didn't realize he's 6'7". He's actually a bit taller than I thought. Okay. His numbers right now this year, averaging 20 a game, 6 boards, 5 assists, at 43% from the field, free throw shooting 73%. Yeah, he's solid. Let me see Harrison Barnes real quick if I can get this up. Hold on. Harrison Barnes, Mr. Game of Thrones himself. Harrison Barnes averaging 18 a game, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. So Luka, I mean, scoring wise, they're in the same ballpark. Shooting wise, same ballpark. But Luka's doing more on the boards, of course. But, you know.
Yeah, look, the point that I'm making though is if you didn't watch the Mavs, you would think that Luka Doncic is being, you know, Wilt Chamberlain out there just carrying the entire team.
Here's where I'll push back a little bit on that. And I'm not saying you're wrong, because there could be that Lin thing, especially if he falls apart in the second half of the year. Harrison Barnes is being paid like an elite player. He's supposed to do this kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? He's being paid a lot of money. So 8 points a game is actually almost under what he probably should be doing as a guy being paid the money he's being paid currently.
I see what you're saying. Like, I'll give you that. The expectations, you know, but I mean, I don't think anybody expected Harrison Barnes to be a max level guy. Cuban, just for whatever reason, the genius that he is, overpaid him. But the thing that I'm pointing out though is all the hype around Luka Doncic is, you know, I think it's a little bit too much.
Yeah, you know what it is though. He's had the moments. Like remember Minnesota last week. He's had the moments, the clutch moments. Obviously there's still a lot to be played. There's a lot to be learned going forward. This feels like very Pat Mahomes-ish, except the Chiefs are better than the Mavericks. So. But let's see.
Just slightly.
If he continues this, if Doncic continues this, I mean, Dallas is playing pretty well. They're doing better than we all thought we all projected. Yeah. At least I thought they projected to be. So
well, they did add DeAndre Jordan too. It hasn't just been Luka Doncic.
How much wins is he really going to add to that team, though? I mean, he's a one-sided guy. He's a one-sided ball guy.
But we just talked about what Boston needs to get over the top, and that's exactly what DeAndre Jordan provides.
Yeah, they need DeAndre Jordan. That's who the Celtics need. They need someone like that. But
that would be a good trade.
Well, definitely something to look at going forward as we get to the end of the year and the Doncic effect, see if that continues going forward. All right.
Okay.
On to a better team. Arguably the best team in the West, second best right now, currently losing to the Warriors last night. The Denver Nuggets right now are 29-14, number 2 in the West currently. I mean, they've had a phenomenal year. Jokic has been great. I mean, nothing more to be said. I guess the only thing we want to ask ourselves is the Nuggets, are they the clear-cut number 2 team in the West going forward?
That's a good question.
Does this hold? Because OKC's still pretty good. Houston's starting to figure things out a little bit. It's really hard to show at this point, you know.
I'm going to say yes. And that took me a while to actually answer it, because obviously Golden State has ascended in the last week or so. Although that being said, their only really victory in the last 5 games, I know they were on a 5-game winning streak, of note was against Denver. I mean, they beat the Knicks, they beat a couple of other pretending teams. Look, Jokic is, I hate to say this, but he's no joke. He's playing fantastic.
Yes, MVP candidate.
Without a doubt. To me, he reminds me a lot, and this might sound ridiculous, especially if you're a younger fan, of Bill Walton. He reminds me of Bill Walton. You run the offense through this guy. I don't have the numbers in front of me. As far as I remember, I think he's a 20-10-8 guy.
I'll tell you right now. Keep talking. I'll tell you now.
And I think he may be leading the league, not leading the league, but leading his team in either steals or blocks, one of those two. So he is a clear-cut MVP candidate. Now, if we're looking at who the better teams are in the West, as you said, the Rockets, who knows what happens with Chris Paul? How long can James Harden continue to play like, Michael Jordan in the 80s? At what point does he start to slow down? At what point does he actually need some help? And I think the supporting cast around Denver is much more capable of going a lot further in the West than what the Rockets are. Oklahoma, Paul George is playing well. Russell Westbrook has adapted his role to be more of a pass-first guy, which is a bit weird because his shooting numbers are all over the place now. Mm-hmm. But they're still struggling. They're still struggling. I mean, they lost to Atlanta last night. So they don't really strike the fear of God in me like they would have early on in this season when they were rolling after they got off to a slow start. So who else is a clear-cut? Utah hasn't played well. New Orleans hasn't played well. Who's another clear-cut team in the Western
I agree with
Conference?
I'm gonna be there with you too. I'm gonna say Denver also. You know why? They're the most balanced team outside Golden State in the entire conference. Because yes, you got James Harden, Houston, but they're not balanced, and that's not gonna sustain itself in the playoffs. What he's doing, okay? If they don't have Chris Paul, they're toast. That's simple. Yeah. OKC, Westbrook has to play better. That's simple. As great as Paul George has been this year, they got to play better. He's got to play better, or else they're toast as well too. Denver is the most balanced team in the West outside of Golden State. By the way, Jokic's numbers this year, he's averaging 20 points a game, 10 boards, and nearly 8 assists.
I was close then, nearly. What is he, above or lower?
19.7 points, I round up to 20, 10 rebounds, round down, and 7.5 assists. That's
I was close, man. My numbers were close. Yeah, I said 20, 10, and 8.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. So Denver's great. I mean, they're fun to watch, too. They're a lot of fun to watch.
They are, man.
Okay, next team here on the list, after Denver, the Pistons. Right now, currently, they've fallen back in the pack since a nice start to the year. They're now 18-24. They are currently half game behind for the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. Again, this is every year with the Pistons. They start well, and no matter who's the coach, Van Gundy, now it's Dwayne Casey. It doesn't matter. Now they're back bottom of the pack again. Well, not bottom of the pack, but they're back to being average or worse. I mean, at some point, what do you do? I mean, you got Blake Griffin, you got Andre Drummond, but, I mean, something's not right there.
Yeah, look, Blake Griffin hasn't played bad at all. I've seen a few Pistons games, just because of the location. And a lot of people, they don't take him seriously, though, and I can see why. Because Blake Griffin has played fantastic, but, I mean, they're just too weak I wouldn't say too weak, but too inconsistent from the guard position, from the perimeter players. They don't have a guy that they can... I know Reggie Jackson, who they brought in a few years ago, has always had the talent to go for 30 a night, but he's also got the talent to go for 5 every night as well.
He's too wonky. He's too up enough for my taste. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's the point. And that reflects on how this team has played and how well it's doing. They need to make a trade. They've got 2 monsters in the middle. Andre Drummond as well, obviously, who still gets rebounds at a very high rate. They need to get rid of him, and they need to bring in some guards. It's just that simple.
Right. I'm not suggesting they should be a top 5 team in the East, but
they should be in the playoffs.
They should be the middle of the pack of the East, and they're not even there right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look,
it's been disappointing.
I do think they'll make the playoffs. I think they figure a way. They're talented enough to get into at least as an 8 seed. But come on, I mean, at some point you got to.
Is that a success then for this team with this talent?
At this point, it's better than not making the playoffs, right? They missed the playoffs the last couple of years.
Yeah,
so
that's
maybe,
true. That is true.
But yeah, it's still a letdown. If in the grander scheme, yes, it's still a letdown. I agree.
Okay. And you can't blame the coach anymore, right?
No, Van Gundy's gone. He's working at ESPN now. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, you have the Golden State Warriors now. Again,
have they accomplished anything in the last couple of years?
You know what the Warriors. It's wait and see.
Let me look that up. I don't want to see them.
Every time people ask about the Warriors, do you believe this? Do you think they're in trouble? My response is it April yet?
Well, you've got to be honest though. Like this is the team that has flown through the regular season the last 4 years, and then before the calendar turned, they looked really, really, really shaky. They looked incredibly shaky. So I could understand the cause for concern because this is their 3rd year doing this with Durant, and it's their 5th year with Green and Thompson and Curry and Iguodala. So at some point, fatigue will catch up with them.
Yeah.
So I can understand why people were curious about also with the mentality of Kevin Durant, how is he going to handle, his impending free agency? Has he checked out mentally? Like, he's still playing hard, but is he playing?
It's probably a distraction
edge?
Too. It's probably a distraction in the locker room. Well, we know. I mean,
Absolutely.
obviously, if the reports are true about him and Draymond Green having that little tiff about and him mentioning the free agency thing, yeah, that's true.
So that's the point that I'm making. Like, I don't think it was necessarily an overreaction. And this as I said a second ago, this 5-game winning streak for them, I don't know if they've righted the ship yet either, because the only team they really beat, granted it's a good team in Denver, that's the only team.
Here's the question.
One game.
Here's the reason why I'll push back on this one. The reason why I still think that they're going to be okay is this. Who will beat them? Because every other team in the Western Conference outside Denver is heavily flawed. I mean, Houston was beaten last year, but Chris Paul can't stay healthy to save his life. So who is going to beat them is the question. It got to be somebody, because they ain't going to be the Lakers. I mean, they
were not on my radar.
Exactly. And it's, number one, first off, if it's going to happen, it's going to come out of the East. It ain't going to come out of the West. I will say that much.
Isn't that funny we're saying that after all these years of conference imbalances? Look, there's teams that can give them trouble in the West if they do manage to line up. I think Oklahoma could give them a lot of trouble in the West just because they have the perimeter defensive play.
But Westbrook has to up his game. He hasn't played that great this year. He hasn't been great this year.
That's true. But he does seem to. He's one of those players. He's kind of like Cam Newton. Can you trust him? Like if he's healthy, is he able to carry a team to a victory?
I have no doubt he'll show up in the games. He'll show up and work his ass off. I'm just saying in terms of playing. And look, I don't want to be the old Westbrook. I don't want to be the old guy where he's like doing everything that hurts the team too. But maybe a little more. It wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, I think that's what he's comfortable in doing. I don't think he has that ability to lower his game.
Yeah.
And then stay mentally into that game.
Right. So I will still say Golden State is still the favorite to win it all. Still, even after everything's going on. Okay, the Rockets. They had a really slow start. All of a sudden, James Harden turned to Superman, and now they are number 4 in the West out of nowhere. Currently 25-18, 4 back of the Warriors for number 1 seed. Again, this is James Harden's show, but this team feels much more flawed than they were last year. No Chris Paul for a good portion of the year. Obviously,
Capella's injured now too.
Capella's hurt 4 to 6 weeks. Obviously you don't have Ariza. You don't have any of the defensive guys that helped you guys help them last year to get the number 1 seed. So Houston's good, but I would dare say I would still take even OKC and Denver over Houston right now. If you ask me.
Can they
in the series?
Can they bring back Carmelo Anthony?
Jesus, I'm telling you.
No, look. What?
It's a bad look, though. It is a bad look, though, that he leaves the team and all of a sudden they play better.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, they had no more excuses, and I think that's why they got rid of him.
Yeah.
So they couldn't, subconsciously make that excuse. Oh, it's because of Melo. But can we also say that about Chris Paul? Because they played better without Chris Paul too. Look, bringing in Austin Rivers made a big difference as well, because now he actually plays with a bit of tempo and a little bit of intensity on the perimeter in terms of defensively. But everything you said is 100% right. They lost Ariza. Capella's going to be out for a while. Eric Gordon has been injured. The whole Carmelo Anthony thing, and yet they're still – and the horrid start to the season, and yet they've climbed their way to – I can't remember what you said. It was the 4th or the 5th seed.
The 4th seed,
the 4th seed in the West. James Harden – and I said this just as this streak was starting after the 7th game of the streak. I said it just after the Golden State victory. I said, this is the best we have ever seen him. So I said this early. And I got a lot of pushback. And how can you say that? He was MVP last year and everything. I stood by it. This is the best I have ever seen him play. And it's not even close. And he is just, I hate to say it, but he's proven me 100% right with this. Well, he looks, he's actually playing defense too.
Yeah. Now, granted, the James Harden, I've now got to the point where James Harden where I judge him now in April, May, and if he makes it to June. That's the question now. Can he be the guy when he needs to be in the playoffs? There's no question now. He's a year-to-year MVP candidate. He's one of the top 5-6 players in the league. No one's going to question that. But he's now at the point in his career where we judge him now April, May, June.
Oh yeah, without question.
So that's just that.
But let's keep in mind too that he had this team up on Golden State last year, And if Chris Paul didn't get injured, there's a very, very good chance. I'm not going to say 100% chance, but there's a very, very good chance that he's walking around with jewelry on his finger. And we would not be bringing that up again.
That is true. That is very true. I won't say they won that series, but it's a very good chance they would. Based on what we saw in the first 5 games of that series, they would have won that series, and probably beating Cleveland also too. So that's that.
Oh, okay. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Duh.
LeBron. All right. Next one. Indiana Pacers. Another, not a surprise, but they're having a really good year. And they got an identity too. They are right now currently the number 3 team in the Eastern Conference, ahead of the Sixers, ahead of the Celtics. 29-14, and only 3 back of Toronto for the number 1 seed in the East. I gotta tell you, what a job they're doing in Indiana. What a job.
Yeah, Nate McMillan deserves so much credit.
Absolutely.
I thought he was a hell of a coach in Seattle and Portland, but he's just taken it to a whole new level now in Indiana. Oladipo, everyone thinks this is Oladipo's team, and they're right to a point, but Oladipo has missed a bunch of games as well. Mm-hmm. And they are, as you said, 3rd in the conference. Coming into this season, I thought they could have finished anywhere in the conference. They could have been the last in the conference that had a complete letdown after the surprise last year, or they could have been the first in the conference. Mm-hmm. But the fact they are 3rd and behind 2 teams that are looking fantastic, by the way, in Milwaukee and Toronto, it's not like this is a soft conference like it has been in years past. The total, I can't speak higher of them. And the experience that they got last year, they're not satisfied with. So they're going to be a power to deal with, or go for any team in the Eastern Conference.
I mean, Toronto will walk again all the pub, and rightfully so in the Eastern Conference, and yet Indiana's right there with them too, and no one's talking about Indiana. That's it. And
as I said, Oladipo's missed so many games, and they've got a balanced attack. They got Miles Turner, they got Sabonis, Bogdanovic. Who am I missing here? Turner, Tyreek Evans. They brought him in. Collison. They are deep, man. Mm-hmm. They are absolutely deep. I love what I see in Indiana.
Okay. LA Clippers, currently number 6 in the West. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the West. Yep, at 24-19. They've maintained this good start, as we all speculated. They started the year off well. We were still kind of, I don't know, this is to maintain. Well, we're now halfway through, and they're still in the mix. And they may not make the playoffs still, because the West is that good, but they've maintained a decent level of good basketball play. They're playing fire on the ball right now, but I mean, they're still pretty good with a team with no stars.
Is Harris a star? Maybe.
I mean,
definitely not a superstar.
Maybe he's a C-level star. Maybe.
Yeah, a borderline all-star. Yeah, I'll give you that. No stars. Doc Rivers, just like what I said about Nate McMillan. Doc Rivers has done an incredible job since Blake Griffin and Chris Paul was traded. Mm-hmm. This team, as impressed as I am with what they're doing, I look forward to what they're going to do this offseason.
Yes.
And are they able to bring in Durant? Are they able to bring in Kawhi Leonard? If they can't get both of them, does Kemba Walker become very attractive to them? I've got to look at that. And everyone wants to, drool over the Lakers and the prospect of them getting superstars. Jerry West, man, Jerry West will always find a way to get the job done when it comes to.
No, they've lost 3 straight games. I mean, that's
well,
I
get that.
But
I get
overall,
that.
Right.
When you look at this team, up and down this team, they've got Harris. Is Gallinari there? I don't even know. I mean, maybe. Mm-hmm. I know they got Lou Williams. They got Beverly. They brought in Gortat. But the team that they have constructed, and for this team to be in the top 5, top 6 in the Western Conference, tells you everything you need to know about how good of a coaching staff. They are no nonsense. Who would have ever thought that the Clippers, even recently with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin and all the antics going on with them, that we'd be talking about a Clippers team being as, hard-headed as they are. They're a blue-collar team, man. They just work hard. They just work really, really hard.
And not only that, and I said something on my other podcast about a month ago, the Clippers, and it goes to your whole thing about the offseason and free agency and all that. They're stable now. Like, there's no more of the Donald Sterling clown show. Like, Steve Ballmer is a really good owner. Like, he's a really good owner, and he will spend money.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? The Clippers are so. This is what I tell Lakers fans all the time. Don't look. Yes, you have the 16 championships, rightfully so, and all that. But these ain't your same Clippers of years back. They're the same. This is a lot more stable team. The fact they're still a game ahead of you guys, you have LeBron James and arguably younger talent, upsided players than the Clippers, and yet they're ahead of you in the standings. That speaks volumes to how good they are and their franchises today. So, just saying.
Yep.
So, all right. Speaking of LA, we staying there with the Lakers now next. They're now currently the 8th seed. Again, I'll say it publicly one more time. I'm not feeling the LeBron Laker thing. Just not feeling it in general. I thought I'd feel better about it as the season went on, but it doesn't feel natural, dude. I'm sorry. I can't change how I feel about it, you know? So, and I think another thing too, also, in addition to the reason why I wanted LeBron to be there, I really wanted to see these young players figured out together. I wanted to see Lonzo, Kuzma, Ingram all figured out as a unit without having a big star jump in there and change the entire, atmosphere, if you will.
Boy, how much time have I got to talk about the league?
Well, I don't want to go all day with this one, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm sick of
Look, I'll mention one thing, though. That they were playing well before LeBron got injured. They were playing very well. They had won quite a few games in a row. Their percentages were high. I think they were 4th or 5th in the conference.
Yeah.
But isn't it a little suspicious, just a tiny little bit suspicious, that from that point forward, he apparently hears a pop. If you hear a pop, that means you've torn something, right? It's not even a sprain. If you hear a pop or you feel it, unless you're Paul Pierce, you think, you know that that's a pop. He was able to walk off the court. Great, right? It was told later that there was no injury there, but they're going to be cautious with him, right? Then, on his birthday, he's dancing in the aisleway or whatever. If you've ever done a groin injury, you're not dancing, ever. And now it's apparently worse than they thought, and they're holding him off. They're holding him off. It just seems like, don't be shocked at this point if we've seen the last of him for this season. Just don't be shocked. Maybe they're like, okay, we're not going to be able to win the conference this year. We're not going to be able to get Anthony Davis. We can't get any other superstars. So as good as you are, let's pull the pin on you now. If we make the playoffs, we get some good experience with the young players. But next season is when they re-inject him with another star player or a team that's actually got some experience behind them. Just don't be surprised if that happens that way.
Ooh, conspiracy theory. I like it. And guess what? I actually tend to, not want to say I agree with you on that, but that wouldn't shock me. Like, I do think he might be ready to go now. I think a lot of this is precautionary. I think the reason
precautionary for what though?
Like I think he's okay. I think he's actually okay to go. I just think that precautionary, and maybe he wants to wait as long as possible before they go back to it. It wouldn't shock me if he's out to the All-Star break, honestly.
Okay, but what's it precautionary for? Is it still for the groin? I mean, there was nothing there. There was an MRI taken, and it came back negative, which means there wasn't even a sprain. But they were just, sometimes it'd be tricky, so we'll give you 2 weeks off or whatever. Now it's extending out.
Yeah.
Just don't be surprised if they're looking at it from the standpoint, look, we felt we could compete if we can get you somebody else. We can't get you somebody else, so let's pull the pin on it now and then get everybody else more minutes, more touches. Kind of like Boston last year without Kyrie Irving, right? And then we re-inject you next year, we bring back somebody else to play alongside you with this core next year, and you'll be fresh for another 3 years.
Well, I mean, conspiracy theory, it could be the case. You never know, because I think he's healthy, ready to go. I
agree.
I just think he's prolonging this thing for whatever reason. It could be the reason that you're saying. It could be the reason I'm saying. Whatever. But I think he's ready to go. I just think they're being precautionary and saving his legs for when he actually has another, whale next to him, if you will. So
okay.
All right, enough Lakers. I'm done with that. Ready?
Thank you.
All right, Memphis Grizzlies had a good start to the year. Now they've fallen back to the pack. They are currently the second worst team in the conference, which is actually not that bad considering the fact that they have 19 wins.
I was about to say, they're second worst, but they can still make the playoffs.
The second worst team is only 5 back of the playoff spot. 4 back. So
the Western Conference, man.
Yeah, 19-24 for the Grizzlies. I mean, how much longer is this Gasol Conley thing going to be a thing? I mean, at some point you got to break it up, right? At some point.
Unless if they can get someone else to come in, which they haven't shown a history of being able to do. They're a very good defensive team. I'll give them that, and I'll give them so much credit.
They've always been.
Yeah, and I'll give them credit for not trying to adapt their game because the NBA is not like the NFL. Copycat leagues. This should not be a copycat league. You should do what you do best and make the other team adapt to it. And that's why Memphis made the playoffs so many years in a row. It's because of that style. They had Zach Randolph and Marc Gasol. They ran their offense through that for so long because it was effective because everyone was going smaller. They had a fantastic start to the season. But yeah, I would be shocked. Even though they're within striking distance, I would be shocked because there's a lot of good teams in front of them. They're looking outside as well from the playoffs. From Utah to the Pelicans to Dallas. Those teams have a lot more firepower, a lot more talent than what Memphis does. So I'll be shocked if they can get back into the playoff mix this year.
All right, moving on. My team, your Miami Heat, 21-21, currently 6th in the Eastern Conference. When you consider how slow they started, the injuries, they haven't had Dragic for almost 2 months now, or close to 2 months. Being 6th in the East right now, not terrible, not bad. Spoelstra continues to figure it out with all these wacky-ass lineups. It's amazing.
I get a question all the time. People always say, well, LeBron's never had a good coach.
Yeah,
and I
get offended by that.
I always point to Spoelstra. I say he's a Hall of Fame coach. What's your take on that? Is he a Hall of Fame coach?
Absolutely. Dude,
Thank you.
Dude, that offends me to the very core of my being when I hear that crap.
It pisses me off too because you look at this guy's resume and what he has had to work with. Who is on this team? You said Dragic has missed a bunch of games.
He's their best player. He hasn't played in 2 months.
They've got what? Richardson. Richardson's not bad. Winslow's not bad. But these guys would be at best 6-7 rotation guys on a lot of other contending teams. And for this team to be 6 in the East, look, the East is not that bad this year. It's really not. It's very top heavy, but still to be 6 ahead of other more talented teams with Dwayne Wade as pretty much your closer at this time of his career. Spoelstra has to look.
Dude, he needs
coach of the year.
He has Winslow playing point guard right now because of the lack of clarity in that position right now because of Dragic being gone.
He's playing point guard. How does that work? Oh, Winslow. Sorry, I thought you said Whiteside.
No, Winslow.
Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah.
Winslow.
Well, yeah. I was about to say that's interesting.
But, it's insane. These lineups he's drawing up on a fly.
Just get this man some talent. Let's see how he works with some talent because he's a coaching genius. Go ahead. You were saying. I'm sorry. How Steve Kerr reminds me, or you can see the Popovich influence of Steve Kerr. You can absolutely see the Riley influence in Spoelstra.
I think Kerr's closer to Phil Jackson, where he's like more of a guy that can take the mold great talent already, and make it work.
He's kind of a hybrid.
Pat Riley was more of a guy that actually molded and grindstone guys. That's Spoelstra. Spoelstra's a grinder.
I like Spoelstra a lot. If I'm starting a team right now, if every coach is available right now that's actually coaching, I'll take Spoelstra number one.
Yeah, he's definitely
over
top
Popovich, over everybody.
I don't care what he says. He's top 3 coach in the league. I don't care what he says in the discussion. All right, next team here, Milwaukee Bucks. Number 2 in the East right now, currently 31-12. They smashed my team, the Heat, last night on the road by 40 points, whatever. It is what it is, man. Look, it is what it is. Milwaukee's good. They're really good.
They are championships, man. They are championship pedigree right throughout.
They just needed coaching. That's all he needs is coaching.
Yeah, and Budenholzer, good for him, man. People talk about how that Atlanta Hawks team overachieved, and I always said leading into the season, how did they overachieve? They had Al Horford, and essentially, they may have had 4 All-Stars, but outside of Al Horford, those other All-Stars were just role players.
They weren't legitimate All-Stars. I agree. They weren't legitimate All-Stars, in my opinion, like year to year.
They may not have been legitimate starters. I mean, who was on there? Millsap, Millsap was a legitimate starter, but Korver, he's not really a starter in this league. Neither was Jeff Teague.
Exactly.
And yet they were able to win 60 games. That comes down to Budenholzer. And look at the job he's done now. He's put Giannis at the 4. That opened up a spot for Brogdon to come in to play alongside Bledsoe. Very, very intelligent coaching decisions. Lopez is now a 3-point shooter, but that's opened up things for Giannis now even more. This team is scary, man. Who right now? Who's your MVP? Is it Giannis or is it James Harden?
Giannis.
It's close.
Consistent.
It's a flip of the coin.
Because the edge would be who's been a better team throughout the year consistently.
Yeah. That's a flip of the coin. I'm not going to argue it. It's a flip of the coin. And Giannis, everything I thought the Bucks would be last year, they are now, and then some. I like him, man. I like him a lot. This has been one of the great surprises this year.
Yeah.
Behind only Denver, this is the number one surprise in the NBA this season.
Right. Not that they're good, it's how good they are. They're top level good now.
Oh, so, yeah.
If
you line them up against anybody, then and they're confident. They don't care. They are not intimidated by anybody. I love what I see with them.
Okay. Next one here. Minnesota. Currently 21 and 23. They are, I believe, the 9, 10, 11 in the West. They're only, again, 2.5 back of the Lakers for the 8th spot.
This is insane.
Thibodeau's gone. Your boy Thibodeau's gone.
Yeah, I was heartbroken over that.
Yeah, I know you were. I heard the cries from Ohio. Again, I don't care if you have Thibodeau, no Thibodeau. This team feels underwhelming.
Yeah.
Butler, no Butler, I don't care.
I'm not going to dispute that. They Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, man, two of the softest players mentally. So much talent. Mm-hmm. So there's no weaknesses in their game, and with the exception of what's between their ears. Mm-hmm. They are soft. Like, it's just they could be running this league. They should be running this league. I remember when the Warriors won 73 games. Mm-hmm. One of the games they lost at the end of the regular season was against Minnesota, and we got a taste. What a cock tease that was! A taste of how good Anthony Towns and Wiggins could be. Because they were just running pick and roll, and defensively they were everywhere. They shut this team down. And then that's the game where Wiggins said, I can't wait to make the playoffs. What he meant was next year. He didn't mean this year. Everyone ran with it. But, man, it's frustrating because even without Jimmy Butler, I mean, okay, you blame Jimmy Butler. He was traded. Then you blame Thibodeau. Then he was traded. I mean, Derrick Rose, my God, has actually looked like a freaking all-star.
And that's what sucks. You're getting a great Derrick Rose this year.
Yes, it's been wasted again.
Yeah.
Man, it's like makes me want to throw something. How talented this team is.
It's so frustrating. I don't want to talk about them anymore.
Well, the only thing I want to close with is, can you imagine Spoelstra with this kind of talent?
Oh, they're number 2 in the West right now.
In the NBA.
Yeah, that's simple. Yeah.
All right, now let's go to another team because now I'm annoyed.
Yeah, and it frustrated me. New Orleans, another letdown this year, and they're healthy. I mean, Drew Holiday's still available, right? I mean, they have 8. Anthony Davis played most of his games this year. Julius Randle, they got pieces. They made the playoffs last year to 6th seed. Why are they so mediocre to bad this year? I don't get it.
Is it possible Rondo held this team together?
Yep, it's very possible.
I think that's what happened. And then they lost Rondo. They didn't realize how important he was. And now they're realizing very, very quickly how badly.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny that the last time Chicago was actually decent was with Rondo. Kind of funny.
Yeah. I mean, he's played bad in other spots too. I mean, in Dallas, he was a bit of a joke. In Sacramento, he didn't do anything. But that being said, this team, playoff Rondo was a real thing, by the way. And how did they not realize? Well, they just let him go without. Well, who was their replacement? They brought in what? The backup from Golden State. I can't even think of what his name is. Ian Clark, I think his name is.
Yeah, I think so.
Ian Clark is a slightly better shooter, but he's not the defender. He's not the leader. He's not the rebounder. He's not the playmaker. Who's running this stuff? Man?
Another.
Yeah, I'm doubly pissed off. Who's next?
Another frustrating team. There you go. New Orleans. To the side. And it makes you wonder with Davis, as he starts saying, well, maybe I want to go now. Maybe I want to leave now. I don't know. We'll see. All right.
Well, here's the thing, though. We talked about Durant. Has Durant checked out mentally? You got to start to wonder if Davis is checked out mentally.
Well, we'll see in a couple weeks before All-Star break. All right. Mm-hmm. New York Knicks, currently third worst team in the East. They are at 10 and 33. Again, no surprise, no Porzingis, no stars. I'll say this much for the Knicks. We'll keep it quick. they at least feel more stable now than they have been in many years, even as a bad team.
Yeah, I'll give you that. And they're playing hard. Even though I don't know what their record is. You said they were the third.
10-33.
Look, when you take into account that Porzingis is gone and who's there, Tim Hardaway Jr. is pretty much their go-to guy. The fact that they've won 10 games at this point of the season is actually maybe a bit of an overachieving.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Who else can you name in that team? I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr. That's it.
Cantor, but that's only because of his antics. It's not got nothing to do with his play.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know anyone else.
Right. All right. Next one. OKC. Oklahoma City Thunder. Currently number 3 in the West, and that's when starting 0-5 to start the year, and that's also with not a really good Westbrook year. I mean, Paul George has been the best player this year by far.
We've seen the emergence of some depth on this team.
Remove Carmelo. What happens? Shine down everybody else.
Schroeder's played well. I loved the trade when they traded for Schroeder, not just because they got rid of Carmelo, but because I realized they actually had another playmaker. And I was very excited to see what would happen with Westbrook in that situation. Steven Adams, you've got Grant, Ferguson, as I mentioned. Who's that Spanish dude that hits all their threes? He's got a beard.
Is it, let me see his name real quick. I'll tell
Abrinas.
Yeah, number 8, yeah.
Yeah, Abrinas. Who knows what they've got with Noel? I remember they brought him in as well. So there's the point that I'm making is they've got quite a bit of depth this year. And they've got Patterson too. How did I forget him? He can have big moments as well, like for quarters, not for entire games. Mm-hmm. So I like what they're doing. I love the fact that Westbrook has taken the foot off the accelerator a bit now, because maybe he was just burning out in the playoffs because he had to carry so much of a burden to get them to the playoffs. But Paul George, by far and away, as you said, is the leader of this team as we speak right now.
Yeah, and it's probably his best year of his career.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, far. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I've just looked up the stats now. A down year for Westbrook is 21.7 points per game, 10 rebounds, 10.5 rebounds, 10.5 assists.
Yeah. Is that, well, I think he's shooting like 18% from 3-point. From 3.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like from shooting. But still, you look at that production. You still look at that production. Oh, shit.
I know. I
mean, you'd be better off giving Shaq the 3.
Mm-hmm. All right, next one here. Orlando Magic. 19-24, currently number 9 in the East. They had a good start to the year. They've fallen back since. They're playing 500 ball right now. This is a team, every year I say, has a lot of talent around it. They can get an 8 seed if they wanted to. They just can't seem to kind of get there. I don't know.
Well, they're close to it now. Sorry, just taking some water.
Me too. I was doing that.
Yeah, they're close to it now. You're right. There's been so much talent on this team for so long, and it seems like a rotating door when it comes to talent.
Yeah.
We're starting to finally come together at glimpses this year. You will see it, like up against Boston, for example. Mm-hmm. They all put it together for that game. The next 2 years, they'll be in the playoffs. I'm not sure if they'll make the playoffs now because there's other teams are sort of making their mark in the Eastern Conference. But within the next 2 years, I'm pretty sure they'll be in the playoffs.
Okay. Next one. Philadelphia 76ers, currently number 4 in the East right now? Yeah, 4 in the East. Feels a little disappointing, a little bit. Jimmy Butler, bit of I don't know, a little bit unrest there with Butler. I mean, look, Embiid's had a great year. No one's going to question Embiid, of course, and he's been healthy. It's credit to that. Ben Simmons kind of quiet this year, too. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah.
No, you're 100% right. He's this is why I didn't buy the hype for Ben Simmons last year. And I said Donovan Mitchell should have
he's been good. I'm not saying he's been bad. It just hasn't been... Maybe that's a good thing, too, for Philly, to be a little quiet now, because they got all this pub last year. They were the team that's supposed to... That team that overachieved. It's supposed to be an 8 seed last year. They get the 3 seed last year. They overachieved in playoffs, and you think, this team is going to be for real. And they get embarrassed by Boston, a Boston team that was like undermanned. I mean, so
that's putting it lightly.
Maybe them not being on the stage right now, being that top tier team on the stage of getting all this pub, is actually good for them right now.
I think it started to. I think people jumped off the bandwagon when Fultz was placed on not the IR, but on the injured list. Mm-hmm. And then they brought in Butler, and it didn't yield immediate results. I think people sort of checked out mentally. Joel Embiid's a legitimate MVP candidate this year.
Oh, yeah.
But Ben Simmons has not been playing well this year. I know you can point out the stat sheet. He's a fringe triple-double player and all that stuff.
Too well. I had right here he's averaging 17, almost 10 boards and 8 assists a game.
How is that any better from what he did last year? I want to see improvement.
No, right, I agree.
And teams have sort of figured him out. He still doesn't have a jump shot on him.
Frustrating.
It's very frustrating because if he had a jumper behind him, it'd free up everything. You do so much in a pick and roll situation with Embiid then. Now the ball's being put back into the hands of Jimmy Butler because Jimmy Butler's their best perimeter playmaker down the stretch because he can consistently score.
Mm-hmm.
So, look, I'm disappointed with him, but that being said, as you said, they are the 4th seed. It's not like they're the 14th seed. All they have to do is make the playoffs, and they're a scary team. No one will want to face them in the playoffs.
I agree. Okay, Phoenix Suns. Right now, I believe the second worst team in basketball. Oh, no, actually, no, fourth worst team in basketball, but last place in the Western Conference. 11-34. Not much to take here, I guess. All right, from the Suns.
Booker's good, but yeah, let's skip.
Exactly. Okay, no, I'm good. I was good. All right, Portland Trailblazers. Right now, currently the 5 seed in the West at 26-19. They're doing what they do every year. They're always a team that win between 45 and 50 games a year. They might win a round, and that's it. I mean, but everybody wants to break up the fucking Lillard, CJ backcourt. I mean, I don't know.
I think there's some validity to that. Because I think they kind of cannibalize each other's games. Like they can't. They get in each other's ways. They can't really play off each other or make each other better. It's like, here's my turn, now it's your turn. Here it's my turn, now it's your turn. You don't see them really make each other better. I think McCollum would have some trade value. Or you trade Lillard will have even more trade value. But
I always thought they got Isaiah Dumars type of situation, but I guess not.
Well, those guys were elite defenders, though, so they didn't have to always score to be effective. These guys are not elite defenders, so they have to score to be effective.
Right.
I think that's the difference. I get what you're saying, though, in terms of being undersized, and both have the ability to play the point or play off the ball. But beyond that, look, this team, they didn't learn from last year. They're still the same retarded team that just goes up in high screen and roll situations in hopes of getting a mismatch with the opponent's big on either Lillard or McCollum. When that doesn't happen, they struggle and they can't score.
Right. Okay, we got 15 minutes to get this completed. 5 teams to go.
Okay.
Here we go. No surprise here. The Sacramento Kings, currently, they are the number 10 in the West, but only a half game back of the 8th seed. 23-21. Man, they have been really, really frisky this year. De'Aaron Fox has been amazing. They're actually a good watch on League Pass as well, too.
Yep, I love it. There's nothing more I can say than they're a complete surprise. I did not think they would be this competitive at this stage of the development of some of the young players. Mm-hmm. But they're fearless, man. I really like what I see. And De'Aaron Fox, man, he looks like he's the class player out of his draft class.
Yep.
And from that position, the point guard.
The question,
which is saying a lot.
Oh yeah. Now the question is whether they sustain this going forward. We'll see. All right. San Antonio Spurs. Currently the 7th seed in the West, which is saying a lot considering that about a month ago they were playing some really bad basketball. Now they're actually playing better. Although they lost a couple of games now, but they've played really well in the last couple of weeks. I mean, Popovich figures it out. They always figure it out, dude. They always figure it out.
Yeah, look, and this is why I'm not. I would not vote for Luka Doncic in the All-Star game, because you look at this team and how well they've played. You look at how well LaMarcus Aldridge has played, how well DeRozan has played. I think both of those guys should be worthy of an All-Star selection ahead of that rookie. So I'm not surprised that they're in this position based off what I predicted in the off season. Mm-hmm. However, based off their start of the season that they had, I am surprised they're in this position. Sorry.
Can they crack the top 4 in the West?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely they can, because it's a logjam. How many games back are they from the top 4 in the 1, 2, 1.5?
Not far back. Right now they're 7th in the West. Say right now. Too far. Here we go. Hold on. Sorry about that. Let me see here real quick.
Yeah,
because they're number 7, and I mean, there's like a lot. Yeah, there's a big logjam here. Okay, so 4 is Houston. They're only a game behind Houston.
See what I mean? So it's only one game.
They're 2 back. They're 2 back in the 3 spot.
Yeah, isn't that insane?
Yeah, it's insane.
And if they were like 6 games back from the 4th, I'd say yeah, they're probably not going to get home court. But the way they're playing and how well they've been playing, LaMarcus Aldridge, did you catch that game against Oklahoma where he's dropped 50?
Yeah.
Oh, I watched that game, man. I was loving that game because it was just.
I'll say this much: don't ever doubt Pop. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I don't have to like him, but yeah, I don't doubt him.
You don't have to like him, but he gets the work done. Okay, yeah. Toronto Raptors, number 1 in the East. Not mistaken, best record in basketball right now, currently. Yes, they do. Best record in basketball. Kawhi, MVP candidate, you can argue. Toronto's good. Toronto's real good. I mean, deep. We knew to be deep, and they were deep last year, but they got an elite player now in place of a really good player. Yeah.
They changed their mentality. They take so much pride on the defensive end of the court. This is a scary team, man. Mm-hmm. They can win, and Kawhi Leonard, you can throw some MVP votes at him, but this team can win without him as well. They've shown the ability to do that. I mean, remember what they did to Golden State without Kawhi Leonard.
As a Heat fan, I shouldn't say this though, but as an NBA fan, I actually want them to stay in Toronto.
Yeah, look, I'm not against that. I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but it wouldn't upset me at all if he stays there. I think he's going to return to LA, but he's going to be a Clipper.
Oh no, my mind's on the Clippers. My mind's on the Clippers too. I don't think it's nothing to do with the Lakers, to be honest with you. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 more teams rather. We get out of here. Disappointing team here, of course, the Utah Jazz. Right now, they are currently, I believe, the 9th seed. Well, tied for 8th, I'd say, in the West, but starting to play better. They won some last 10 games, won 4 in a row. So as I said earlier in the year, when they started slow, they'll figure it out. They'll play better, but they're clearly not what we thought they'll be this year. Everybody thought they'd be a top 3 seed in the West. Well, now, based on logjam, that's not the question for them to come back and make that happen. But I don't know. Utah's good. They're a solid team. They're figuring it out now. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, look, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. Look, this team is loaded with talent. Once again, so much depth. Ricky Rubio, Dre Crowder, Derek Favors, Kyle Korver. They just brought Kyle Korver back. I'll be surprised and disappointed and shocked if they don't make the playoffs.
Oh, they'll get in. I think they'll get in.
Yeah,
I think they'll get in. I don't doubt that. And finally, the drama in DC. Yes, it's always dramatic with the politics there, but also the basketball team as well too. The Washington Wizards, who are currently, I believe, coming quick, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, number 11 in the East. But they're only like 2 back of the 8th seed, actually. And gotta be honest with you, the Wizards are playing better without John Wall.
Oh, without question.
They got to move John Wall, dude. They got to move John Wall.
We have seen this before, though, when John Wall has been injured and Bradley Beal has essentially played point guard, that they actually play better. I don't think John Wall is a good point guard. I think he puts up great numbers, but he needs the ball in his hands far too much. And his teammates, when they get hot, that doesn't matter to him. He still wants to play that pick and roll situation with a big who's rolling to the basket. I think they're better without him. I think you're 100% right, and I think that would actually, I fully expect them to continue to ascend and sneak into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think if you're choosing between Wall and Beal, I choose Beal today and twice on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man, because he's consistent offensively.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, there's our review for so far at the halfway point of the NBA season. Matt, thank you as always. Plug away what you want to plug away. Podcast, your new book, another book coming out soon, right?
Yeah. The Jordan 6 for 6 book is nearly completed. You can catch us on istilllovethisgame.com. We are starting quite a few things coming up as well. We're starting a brand new podcast network.
Nice.
We've got the domains all ready to go. We're going to have an NFL network, not NFL network, NFL podcast. We're going to have state-specific podcasts. Ohio is one of them. Texas is one of them. So with a national outlook as well. What else have we got going? The books, the podcast, everything, man. You name it. Just follow us at I Still Love This Game. We will keep you updated with that. We've got a rewind watch along series coming along too for classic games. The first one of that will be Game 1 of the 95 finals between Shaq and Olajuwon, and of course the Magic versus the Rockets. So that will be fun. We'll keep you updated with all that. Ernest will be a part of some of this stuff, hopefully.
Yes.
If you want to be a part of it, I guess you can be a part of it. I mean, I suppose if you want to.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk off air. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We'll figure something out. But yeah, big things are happening in 2019.
Nice. 2019's good.
Oh shit! I just sprained my groin. I can't do it. Sorry. Oh.
if you want your LeBron bashing too, if you're anti-LeBron, this is the guy to go to. Definitely, he'll definitely get you all caught up on that.
And none of it is fake news. It is all 100% authentic.
There is context. There's good context. I'll give him that much. There's good context. I don't agree with everything he says, but the context is still good.
Trust me, it is not baseless. It is not, hey, this guy is not better than Jordan because he wears number 23 and he tries to be like Jordan because he sprays talcum powder into the air. No, it's got nothing to do with that. It sucks. No, I'm just kidding. No, but there's always context associated with it. Pride myself on authenticity, so I am not going to sabotage myself for chasing those likes.
I was hoping the podcasts pick up though. You slowed down a little bit the last couple months.
Did you just hear all the things that are coming out, man?
So what? Stay busy. Look, I have 2 children and a marriage, and I still run 2 podcasts, and I still give at least 2 or 3 shows a week of this show, and my other show I still do at least 3 or 5 times a week. Come on.
I've just read it. I'm very close to completing my second book. I'm starting a podcast network of about 8 podcasts. Thank you very much. I respond to my trolls on Instagram and Facebook every day. What else do you want from me, man?
I want more. I want more LeBron bashing.
Are you telling me to shut up and dribble? I'm more than just a podcaster.
That's right. I love it. Matthew, thank you so much as always. We'll do this again soon, obviously. All
right, take care, brother.
All right, bye.